The year is 1884. A 28-year-old immigrant steps off a ship in New York Harbor carrying little more than clothes on his back, a few cents in his pocket, and a head full of ideas that would change civilization. His name was Nikola Tesla.
You're listening to History Unscripted with Gabriel and Carl.
Welcome back, history lovers of history. This is Gabriel and Carl with History Unscripted. We are still talking about some unsung heroes of history. We are really enjoying this little series, and so we're just going to keep on trucking along. I think we got a handful more after this guy. Nikola Tesla is who we're going to be talking about today. Might be the smartest dude that's ever lived. I absolutely would put him up top 3 probably. And I hope by the time we're done with this, our viewers and our listeners would agree with that. This is a guy that everybody knows his name, right? But nobody knows what he did. Everybody knows Tesla. Tesla's like one of the biggest brands in the world, maybe of all time. But where did Elon Musk even get that name? Why is that name significant? It didn't just pop up out of thin air in Elon Musk's head. No, he got it from the Nikola Tesla, who, again, one of the greatest visionary inventors in human history. And Carl, when we were doing our pre-pod discussion, brought something up about kind of the difference between Edison and Tesla. And I don't want to take credit for it because I thought you explained it really well. And so I want to give you the chance to kind of tell our audience what you said the difference was between those two guys when it comes to their inventions.
Yeah, it just, in my research, it seemed like the inventions that Thomas Edison had, the ones that we use now, are built upon his original designs. But Nikola Tesla's inventions we're either just now starting to use them, or we are still using them as he invented them. And so he was much more visionary, bigger picture, broader scale kind of a thinker, where Edison seemed to be more of a convenience inventor.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that. I like that. I think I would absolutely agree that Nikola Tesla, when you look at a lot of his inventions, I mean, he was so far ahead of his time. I mean, it's crazy. Just to give you guys a spoiler alert, like the first drone, late 1800s, this guy figures it out. So that's my personal favorite example. And we'll get into that more, but he is definitely an unsung hero. Not enough people know what he did. Not enough people know that, again, the stuff we use today that impact our lives crazy amounts came from Nikola Tesla. So how this is going to go, I'm going to talk a little bit more about his childhood, his upbringing, because that definitely plays a role. I think of all the specific characters we've studied, I would argue that I think his upbringing has shaped, like, of all the guys that we've looked at, the individual people in our podcast, I think Nikola Tesla's childhood probably influences him the most, I think, out of anybody. So I'm gonna just kind of explain. I'm just gonna go through, kind of just not necessarily rapid fire, but I've got my bullet points here on my notes, and I'm just gonna read through what I got for you guys. So Nikola Tesla. So he was born in the Austrian Empire in 1856. His father was a Eastern Orthodox priest, and his mother was, not super surprisingly, a stay-at-home mom. His mom, I think, is the unsung hero behind the unsung hero. She was actually an inventor herself. She never attended school, was functionally illiterate. I mean, maybe she could write her name, but yet she was an inventor. And you know that had to have an impact on Nikola Tesla. So his father wanted Nikola Tesla actually to be a priest, which isn't super shocking, right? He wanted his son to be a priest just like him. And he was pretty adamant about that. But the thing about Nikola was he was super, super, like, again, visionary, even at a young age, right? He loved engineering, and he could, like, his imagination was so good that he could like picture these things in his brain so well that he could like rotate them, he would say. He could work on the machines in his brain. And so he was definitely not oriented to be a priest. Like from day one, even as a child, he was oriented to be an engineer or an inventor. I mean, that like his imagination was just crazy, crazy good, which is because his IQ was so high, right? And he gets cholera, and he's not doing so well. And apparently, as the legend goes, his father says that, like, if you survive, I'll let you be an engineer. And by golly, he survives. And his father lets him go to the Graz University. Let's see, where is this? Let's see if I have no, I just have the Graz University of Technology. I'm not sure, Carl, you don't happen to have where that was? Like, I'm guessing somewhere in the Austrian Empire.
Yeah, it just says, I just found in Austria.
Yeah. So I'm going to guess it was probably a solid university. Now, one thing that actually happened before he left for college is he witnessed his brother dying in a really horrific way. And so you can't help but wonder that he spent maybe a lot of his life is like trying to, maybe he does it for his brother. I didn't find anything necessarily that said like he was quoted saying, I'm doing this because, I want to honor my brother's memory or anything like that. But I don't know. I just wonder if that, is a motivating factor in everything that he does. Him and his brother were close, and he watched his brother he fell off a horse and died. I mean, just a tragic death. And at such a young age, I mean, it really traumatized the family. But he's able to go to this university, and apparently he was a serious, scholar. He studied for hours. In fact, many of his professors, said that he worked too hard. But then he develops a gambling addiction. And that's one thing with Tesla's life. It is a complete roller coaster, man. I mean, it is the ups. I mean, it's the high of the high, and then it's the low of the low. Because he gambles so much that he loses so much money. He quits going to class, and he never graduates college. Yeah, I mean, from being at probably one of the most prestigious colleges he could be at to gambling and dropping out.
That'll get you.
Yeah, that'll get you. Most people don't really recover from that, or it takes a long time to recover from that. I mean, that is such a disruptor in your life. So in 1881, he travels to Budapest, and he worked for the Budapest Telephone Exchange, and he suffered from what we might describe today as like a nervous breakdown. He became extremely sensitive. I've heard that he claimed he could hear clocks ticking miles away. Birds landing nearby caused physical pain. Bright lights overwhelmed him. And I don't know, I don't know what that was. But so again, he's not doing too great in 1881 in Budapest. So again, I'm just trying to set this kind of scene. This dude, he comes from the bottom. He can hit the top, and then as we're going to find later, even later in his life, he goes back to the bottom. But this dude has to work for everything. He does not have the easy way at all. So during his recovery, apparently, and again, this kind of goes to you kind of got to take him at his word, right? Because this is all in his imagination. Again, he's imagining this stuff. He's imagining these machines, and he's imagining working on them and rotating them in his brain. Apparently, he had visions of a rotating magnetic field. So, and that's a really big part of what his later inventions will be. Carl, do you have
this is what people call foreshadowing.
Yes, very good. Yes. Carl, do you have anything you want to add? Again, I'm kind of going fairly quickly. I'm just trying to set up this man's life a little bit before he gets to America, because he does eventually come to America. But do you have anything else that you would add, I guess, about old Nikola Tesla, some of his earlier life, his earlier escapades?
Uh, Not really. I just want to, yeah, just hit again that his mother was the inventive type. And, being a stay-at-home mom, spending a lot of time with the children, like you said, even if she wasn't um, paper smart, maybe we could call it, she was definitely highly intelligent. And that instilled the love of that into Nicola for sure. Um, and during his recovery, I found that his father actually did pass away as well. And so
Mm.
he was just kind of going through the ringer there
Oh
for
my
a little
God.
bit before he came to America.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, man. Losing your brother. I mean, getting cholera. I think it was cholera is what he had. I mean, just getting that and being on death's door. That was like, okay, yeah, all right, I survived. Like, I'm going to I'm going to college, and then someone asks him to play. I don't know. Like, you just imagine how he got into it. Then he gets into gambling. I mean, it's like someone gives him a deck of cards, and it all goes downhill from there. I don't know. I don't know what kind of games they would play back then, but it's like someone rolled a die, and it just all went downhill. So when you say his recovery, do you mean his recovery from his like nervous breakdown is when his father died, or his cholera, like his earlier? I didn't find anything about his. I didn't find much about his father.
No, this was after he um, dropped out of college.
Oh, okay. So he drops out, loses his dad.
Yeah, goes back home, as what I found,
Okay.
to spend time with his mom, but
Right.
then, yeah, chooses to cross the pond.
Ooh, okay. So in 18, so between about 1882 and 1884 in Paris, I have that he worked for the Continental Edison Company. Uh, but by 1884, he does go to America. Uh, Now, when he's in Paris working for the Continental Edison Company, he's like he's getting a lot of practical engineering experience. He's kind of moving from that like visionary to actually doing some hands-on. Because you imagine, again, I just imagine that he didn't do a whole lot of hands-on stuff in college. Uh, I have a feeling he did a lot of that paper, kind of a lot of that maybe thematic, like looking at themes or I don't know, visions, stuff like that, as opposed to really getting his hands on. But so when he's that 2 years he's working for the Continental Edison Company, he's getting that practical engineering experience, and so he's already wicked smart, and now he's learning really to work with his hands even better. In fact, he traveled throughout Europe fixing electrical systems. Uh, so, anyways, but by 1884 he comes to America, and I don't know. I feel like we should set up what is America like in 1884. Uh, it's the Gilded Age, which is like on the outside, America's really shiny, right? It looks like it's this bustling, and it's this bustling country. It's booming. We've got the Transcontinental Railroad. Our cities are growing, right? Reconstruction is over from the Civil War. That is becoming more of a memory. But when
The
you really
Industrial
get
Revolution,
say what?
the Industrial
Yes,
Revolution is really kicking off.
absolutely. But when you really get into the nitty gritty of America at this time in 1884, especially when he lands in New York, it's not a great place to live. That line between that space between the haves and the have-nots, for lack of a better term, is very large in New York at this time. The middle class in America is just kind of babyish. Like this idea of the middle class in America in 1884 is kind of a baby idea. There's not like it's kind of growing. It's increasing, but there's still just a lot of really rich people and a lot of really poor people. And you have to understand, like competition though, this was laissez-faire capitalism at its best, dude. Competition was fierce. The government wasn't bailing you out. I mean, it was if you had an idea, you could do it. There was no regulation, but oh golly, if you failed, you were gonna fail. There was no like government handouts. There was no social safety net. I mean, it was like, dude, you can either go sky high or rock bottom, baby, and that is it. So anyway, so I just feel like people have to understand when he's coming to America, it's just such a different world. even beyond just, well, yeah, it was, 150 years ago or whatever. Like, no, 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 no. Like, it's the entire almost economic system is completely different. We don't really have a laissez-faire capitalism anymore. There's tons of like electrical lighting companies probably everywhere. Everyone that can do it is trying to do it to get rich, right? Chasing the almighty dollar. So New York is changing. New York is lighting up. It's lit, literally. It's lit.
Oh boy.
So then he meets Thomas Edison. And do you want to go into a little bit about that? About his relationship with Thomas Edison, or?
Sure, I can do that for a little bit. I
Okay.
did find that they didn't actually like, hate each other. They
Right.
just couldn't work with each other.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
it's their personalities just were complete polar opposites. Um, didn't like the way that each other worked or their
Right.
end goal. Because one thing also that I found about the difference is that Thomas Edison made a sustainable business model out of
Right.
inventing.
Right. Right.
He constantly had things that he was working on or had other people working on for him.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so even if one or two failed, no big deal. I've got three others that 20 million people are going to purchase and everything will be all good.
Right.
Where Nikola Tesla, his preference was to work on one giant world changing thing at a time. And if it landed, boy, did it hit good.
Right.
And if it didn't, he effectively wasted decades of his life working on it. And
Yeah.
so just that complete
Yes.
polar opposite of the mentality of inventing. Um, and I did find that Tesla did have quite a few personality quirks about him
Oh,
that
I'm
made
sure.
him difficult to work with.
Yeah. That.
But I didn't find anything that suggested that they like had this like bitter rivalry.
Right.
I didn't find anything that explicitly said that.
Yeah. It does seem like more of a philosophical disagreement. And then, of course, the AC and DC current. There was a natural competition between there, but I never got the sense that it was like really personal, I guess, necessarily. And maybe it was. But in fact, I mean, because if you guys paying attention, what I mentioned earlier is that he worked for the Continental Edison Company in Paris. So he was working, he admired Thomas Edison. I mean, he was installing and maintaining the direct current electrical systems across Europe. Uh, and he gained a really good reputation. Uh, so he lands in America, and he only has a few coins in his pocket. Apparently, again, legend, don't know for sure. Like, apparently he was robbed on the voyage, which I'm sure happened a lot. Uh, so he arrives in the biggest city of America, and he starts working more directly with Edison, and things soon doesn't take a lot of time for their differences to I think to show. But the biggest difference, really, I mean, that our listeners really need to know, Edison really just wasn't interested in Tesla's biggest idea, which was this alternating current AC as opposed to the direct current DC. And Carl, I know this is something you mentioned that you did hit a little harder on your research. So I'm going to let you take the floor and kind of go into that stuff, because honestly, when I turn the lights on, it might as well just be magic for me. And I'm totally content living that way. So I will let you kind of go into that. This AC versus DC.
Yeah, maybe this is just the curse of having a science teacher as a dad.
Yeah.
I have to research things and figure out how they work.
Right. Which I appreciate.
But up until this point, honestly, I was the same way. So like, hey, I flipped the light switch, I get light, and I can see. Cool beans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
My PlayStation 2 works. That's all that matters.
yeah, perfect. And then when it doesn't work, eh, yeah, we got problems.
Yeah.
But so, like Gabe mentioned, there's two main forms of electrical current, AC and DC, and yes, that is where the band got its name. Um, Alternating current and direct current. So alternating current is represented, like if you're going to look at it on a graph, it's going to look like waves alternating between negative and positive charges, where DC is represented as a flat line. So DC is better for short transfers of electricity. Excuse me. But AC is better for the transfer of electricity over longer spans, because DC loses, for lack of a better, it loses steam while traveling, and a lot of the electrons actually escape the stream through the wire, through the insulation. And so DC is used in like batteries, most household appliances, cell phones, TVs, stuff like that. Whereas your power poles and your transformer boxes, that is where the AC power is.
Okay.
And that's where that is mainly used. And so a lot of our devices actually have a converter in them that transfers the AC into DC to be able to use within its system quickly. Excuse me.
Okay.
And so that's the main difference between AC and DC. So Tesla's vision was for the lights that Edison invented to be more stable, and you don't need as much to make them work because you don't need to be as insulated to get the same amount of juice to the target. And so, and he also came up with the polyphase, excuse me,
Okay.
Polyphase delivery. And so what that is you're taking these AC currents, and typically it's three of them, and you're shortening and lengthening the wavelength so that when one is dipping into the negative charge, the other one is spiking up into the positive. And so the power distribution is consistent because one of those three is always going to be positive, and it's always going to give electricity. Where the DC is a little bit less consistent, like I said, especially over longer distances. So that's when they would flicker and be dimmer the further away from the power plant that they were.
And you got to think, as America's growing, I mean, America's a huge country, right? As America's growing and electricity's spreading out throughout the world, it has to be consistent over long distances. It's like non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
But like we kind of been saying, this was not driven by like personal beef or anything.
At least it didn't start that way.
Right, exactly. Okay, all right. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to kind of cut you off there, but do you have anything else that you want to add about the kind of the war of the currents?
Just that it came to its climax at the I lost it in my notes here. 1893 Columbian Exposition. Do you have anything on that?
I actually don't have a lot. So if you want to talk a little about that.
Yeah. So this is where Tesla and his investor, George Westinghouse, really got to show off the capabilities of the AC versus the DC. Because most of America was on Edison's side, partially because he was an established figure, he was an established inventor.
Right.
And so they just naturally believed him. Totally understandable. And so Tesla and Westinghouse actually won the bid to power and to light the event. And so I actually found that Edison's power company also bid on it, but Tesla's came in at under half of it because they didn't need as much material because of the AC current.
Oh, nice.
And I found that they powered 100,000 fluorescent lights at the expo.
Wow.
And it was such a spectacle. The lights, like the basic thing that we don't even think about, but the lights were such a spectacle. They got their own nickname at the expo called the White City because it was so bright and it was so consistent. He also showed that it was completely safe
Yep.
by having an AC generator on one side. He grabs it and lights a light bulb in his other hand,
Yeah.
showing that the electricity passes through his body, still transfers the electricity, but he's unharmed.
Wow.
Which, yeah, back then, I mean, if you did that in the 1600s, they probably would have hung you,
Right.
being a witch.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
That's
complete
like,
magic.
yeah, but yeah. Well, like I said, that's how I feel like today when I turn on the lights almost. Uh, oh man, what? That's crazy. Expo. I didn't do enough research on that. But how many fluorescent lights did you say? Did you have an
I
exact
found it
number?
was 100,000.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's and
And I'm
again,
going to remind people, this was 20 years before the Model T.
yeah, yeah. And again, we take light for granted. We just flip on our lights, we turn on our Xbox, we turn on our TV, and we don't even really know. We can't even fathom a life without electricity. And so I can just imagine being that average American there and seeing that. I mean, that
Oh,
would just be an incredible scene.
I would be talking about it for weeks.
Yeah, I would have too. I mean, heck, I'd love to go back in history and see it. Even with all the electricity I see today, I would just love to go back and see that pivotal moment where he proved that AC is the superior system.
Well, and I'm imagining that he used a Tesla coil,
Yeah.
the ones on the stand with the coils, and it shoots electricity everywhere.
Oh,
That's
right, right.
AC. That's the AC current, and I imagine that he's using one of those, and so you get the spectacle of the lightning shooting everywhere,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so you can see it, and he grabs it, yeah, and light in his other hand. Be like, I just saw a guy grab lightning,
Yeah.
and it didn't kill him, and oh my gosh.
Yeah. And yeah, there's some old timers saying, "Oh, all right, we got to burn him. Burn him at the stake."
Yeah,
We
we
can
gotta
have
pray.
this.
We gotta pray for that man. We have to
Pray for
sprinkle
him.
him with
Yeah.
holy water. He is not of. He is of the devil.
Yeah. Oh man. So you would think though, once this shows that AC is the superior system, it is. It's better for large scale distribution. But one thing I do want to kind of bring up is like when we think about this, it's not that direct competition like necessarily. It's like if we didn't have Edison, electricity like develops much slower. But if we didn't have Tesla, then what we have today could look completely different, and it actually could be like a less superior system. Because had Tesla not broken away from Edison, he wouldn't have gone to do his own thing because he probably just been working on DC generators or whatever his whole life, the direct current stuff. If he had never had the courage to break away and say, you know what, I don't got a lot of money. Like, I've just been in this country for a handful of months, years, and he breaks away. He gets backed by George Westinghouse, and that was one of the greatest things for us today. Like, thank you, man. Thank you for doing that. Because again, the way electricity works today is it's AC, right? I mean, it's the alternating current. That is the model we follow, and it works. This country's lit up all corners. I'll hit on it one more time. So I was deployed to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And here I was, and I'm not even in America, and we have the naval base that's set up, and we have electricity, and there was this little Cuban fishing village not too far, and we're on Cuba, like we're in Cuba, and they don't even have electricity. And I mean, so again, we're just so blessed to have that. I'm in quite awe of it, actually.
I think your point is absolutely spot on, where we would not have one without the other. And
Right.
both of them, like, we needed both at the same time
Yes,
to
absolutely.
have that competition, because we used both and we couldn't have both without this competition.
Right. That is
And
the beauty of capitalism right there.
yeah, that is capitalism working to the benefit of the common man
Right.
to a T. The
Yes.
competition between the two made a better system for everybody.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, we absolutely would not have all of this electrical power that we do without both at the same time playing
Right.
off of each other.
Right. Right. So again, this is just one of those classic examples of why do we study history, right? Like my students ask me, why do we study history? Why do we study history? And it's just like, because we owe it to the people that came before us. Like we stand on the shoulders of giants. We stand on the shoulders of people that did incredible things, brave, smart, intuitive, whatever. We owe it. Like we need to know their stories. We need to know where we came from. So anyway, so back to the story. So he does not get rich from this, and you think he would. Like you think after that the Chicago World's Fair Expo, he would be like, I mean, the first trillionaire. But that's not what happens. He did not fully profit from it. So he had some contracts with Westinghouse, essentially paying him royalties per horsepower of electricity sold, which is a very
I
interesting.
don't know how you would measure that, but
Yeah.
okay.
But okay. But as many of these kind of companies, groups, whatever you want to say, in the late 1800s in the United States of America, it hit financial troubles. It started to go downhill. Well, Tesla, he actually rips up the contract to save Westinghouse money so that Westinghouse could survive. And he gave up extreme wealth. That doesn't mean at this point, in the mid 1890s when this is happening, that doesn't mean he's like poor living on the streets, but he gave up so much wealth to do that. He essentially said, all right, you don't got to pay me near as much as what you were going to do. Because by the mid 1890s, I mean, he's famous. AC is becoming more and more popular. But again, he is still not as wealthy as he could be from that. And I think that speaks to his character. Would you agree? I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, no, wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you look at Tesla, he does a lot of this truly just for the common good. And you'll see that from his story. So do you have anything about that kind of after what happens? I mean, anything after this groundbreaking expose of his AC current? Did you find much about his kind of like what happens to him after that?
I did find that him and Westinghouse actually won a bid to build the first major hydroelectric dam off of Niagara Falls that powered Buffalo, New York.
Oh wow!
And so, yeah, I was like, oh, I just didn't
Did
know
that
he did that.
did that get
How
completed?
did? Yeah, in 3 years.
Oh my
Like,
goodness!
don't know how that did make you fabulously wealthy, but all right.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe he gambled it all away.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. So again, just another thing, right? Like a lot of people, especially like in kind of Southwest Missouri, there's a lot of dams that power. I mean, everywhere, of course, but that's where I spent a lot of my time living in Southwest Missouri, and there's a lot of dams that generate a lot of electricity on those big lakes down there. So he did one of the first ones ever on Niagara Falls. That's cool.
it's crazy.
See, and again, he's at the height. It's like he is at the pinnacle of his career, and yet you get another little dip. So in 1895, uh, he has a New York lab. It burns down, which again, that was pretty common back then. That's something that, because back in the Gilded Age, like firefighters, I love telling my students this. It's like firefighting wasn't like a social service, right? Like today, our tax money goes to, of course, pay the firefighters, and we're very happy to do that. We pay them good money to fight fires, to save our property. But back then, it was not like that. And you had all these buildings, like a lot of wood, right, close together, unsanitary conditions, lots of fire, right? Like, because central like heating isn't a thing yet, that's for sure. And in these slums, and so anyways, these fires can start very, very quickly, and like the fire departments are like they're very privatized, so you can imagine like. Yeah, you pay me a nickel, I'll fight that
Eh,
fire. Yeah, like what you got? And even there's this scene. Have you seen the movie Gangs of New York? I promise.
oh yeah.
Yeah, where they show up to the fire, but it's like the gangs are fighting over like who gets to deal with the fire. I think that's a scene from that movie. So anyway, so I digress a little bit, but so a lot of his stuff is burnt to the ground. I mean, major setback. And again, I'm just kind of reading from my notes kind of quickly here. So then, because I want to talk a little bit just more about some of his other inventions. So there's a shift. So he starts to shift towards radio and wireless ideas, and wireless communication. So this is another, again, when you think of that visionary stuff, like way ahead of his time. I mean, it's pretty impressive that he's already even thinking about wireless communication, radio transmission concepts, stuff like that. Carl, do you have anything about that?
No, I was just going to say that. Yeah, this is kind of the era of his life where you really see that future vision, and where
Yeah.
um, at risk of sounding like a fanboy, where the world wasn't ready technologically for what he had in his mind.
Yep.
Because he was talking about how he had visions of being able to wirelessly transmit video, moving pictures from one space to another, and he said from America to England.
Wow.
That's how far he was thinking, was being able to shoot a video and transfer it wirelessly, and somebody else receive it and be able to play it.
Right.
That technology wasn't around for another 60 years,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. Like, yeah, like again, being
Even longer. Yeah, and he came up with a concept for the radio,
Yep.
and it was just, as I'm reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy came up with everything.
Yeah.
X-rays, he came up with a technology that later on allowed somebody else to come up with the X-ray machine.
Right. Yep. No, that's
And
yeah.
like Bluetooth, he came up with the concept for that.
Yeah.
And started working on it, kind of put it on the back burner. Somebody else picked it up again, completed it, and we have Bluetooth. Remote control devices.
Yeah.
He came up with that, and actually, I think you had a little snippet of kind of a crowning achievement for that too. But just the sort of stuff that he was coming up with in the late 1800s, early 1900s,
Mm-hmm.
was just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about the remote control machine. So he was in Madison Square Garden, and he did do like the first remote, I think it was a boat, the first remote controlled boat, because he believed that you didn't need the wires, and you don't. I mean, that's half the battle, is the vision. It really is. I mean, we can all invent, but you got to have an idea, right? The first step is having an idea. I mean, I can't, like, there's no way I would have thought of it. Like, Imagine like seeing him turn on the light and you go, "Oh my gosh!" And he turns and goes, "Yeah, I don't even think we need wires for that." And you're like, "What? Wait, what? What are you talking?" Like he was so like people were just enamored probably with the electricity, and he's already going, "All right, well, what's the next step here?" You know, all right, what's the next step after that? I mean, he believed that the Earth itself could act like a conductor, carrying electrical signals over long distances, and by golly, that's pretty much how it works, right? I mean, that he was pretty much spot on. Uh, so did you? So again, there's just so much in his life. Did you find much about the Colorado Springs experiments?
A little bit. Just that this is where he kind of came up with big ideas.
Yeah,
Um, but it didn't, at least from what I found in my research, wasn't able to see it to completion.
right. Yeah, that's kind of what I found too. So he built like a. This is where he like built his massive Tesla coils. Uh, that is just like a transformer that could produce extremely high voltages and high frequency alternating current. Um, but like you said, that never really went very far
Well,
past.
I found that he got a new backer, um,
Okay.
J.P. Morgan,
Oh, ooh,
the
that's a big
OG.
player.
Yeah, the real deal. But it seemed like J.P. Morgan was more expecting kind of a Thomas Edison style of invention,
Right.
where he would be able to turn a profit on
Yep.
these.
That's the whole thing. Profit. Yep.
And so when it came a couple of years and Tesla was working on this massive thing, world changing, benefits everybody kind of thing,
Mm,
but it wasn't turning a profit fast enough, JP Morgan
right.
pulled the plug on the funding.
Yeah.
And I found that that really sent Tesla back into another tailspin.
Yep. And this is kind of how we get to like kind of the end of his life here, as we're just kind of going through everything he did. So he builds this Wardenclyffe Tower, uh, and see, I have it here somewhere, like kind of his goal with it. Let's see, like what was his? Okay, I guess I did. I thought I had some about like really what was his goal, but oh, here we go. So he really believed that he could transmit wireless messages across the Atlantic. He really, and this was kind of the start of that you could create this global communication system. Because again, at this point, he's already done the wireless thing. He's done it. He's had a remote control little boat thing. Like he's done it. Now he just needs to do it even on a bigger scale. So it had a large transmitting tower, deep underground grounding system, powerful electric generators. I mean, I would love to see this in real life. I mean, I would love to go back and just look at this thing. But like Carl said, the main thing is that the money ran out. J.P. Morgan pulled the funding from it. I have here, actually, I found in my notes that, that Tesla wanted to transmit free electrical power, and that doesn't turn a profit. So, again, that goes to Shen. He's not motivated by money, which, again, for a late 1800s America, New York City at this time, he's a rare breed. I mean, there's a lot of dudes who are very rich, like who did some good, and you can be like, well, were they this or were they that? They did some good, some bad. But this man truly is not motivated by profit at all. And then there's a really big, he has an issue with inventor of the last name Marconi, who develops a similar radio system that worked well enough for communication without massive infrastructure. And there was a lot of kind of conflict over that patent, and he wasn't vindicated of that, or he didn't win that case until after his death. And where people are like, so I think there's evidence that Marconi maybe stole his kind of patent for this radio. But that's how it is sometimes. And so this guy, this inventor Marconi, he is kind of the first real radio guy. And I think the third reason why it failed is his towers. It just, again, the world just wasn't quite ready. he just was a little too far ahead of his time at the time. I mean, it just was difficult to control at the scale that he imagined. And so the tower actually is dismantled for scrap during World War I. So you think of this tower with all this potential and ideas, and turns into scrap, dude. So he got so much right. He just, like we keep saying, the world just wasn't quite ready for him. So yeah, and his life after that is actually very, very sad. He ends up living in a hotel, like literally day by day, and he becomes really close to these pigeons. He like loves these pigeons, and he just kind of dies, man, and he kind of fades away. I mean, and that's it. I don't think he was ever married.
I didn't find anything of it.
No kids, and that's it. That's his story. I mean, this incredible visionary genius dies in a hotel room, almost penniless.
Alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely flat broke and alone.
Yeah.
Which is not a fitting end for the way that he's changed the world, even today.
I agree. He didn't do it by himself, but he certainly helped with what we have today. And so again, that is why he is an unsung hero, I think. Again, I don't think enough Americans know his story. But again, guys, when you turn on the lights, just remember what it takes to get this stuff that we have. It takes sacrifice. People sacrifice for this stuff. People fought tooth and nail for this stuff to figure it out. I mean, he did. He probably could have had children and a wife and a family, and he could have been some kind of low, chill engineer working for Edison's company. But he didn't. He made that sacrifice. He gave his life for this. And I believe we are better for it today. Would you agree, Carl, or what's your thoughts, man?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Sorry, I must have breathed something in.
Work.
But no, just I think he said it best earlier. This is why we study history. This is why we love it. Just to realize what people did before us and exactly why they should be remembered. Because I always thought that I knew Tesla as the electricity guy, and as the guy, he had some big visions, and none of them just really panned out, and he had a couple of things, and was a rival of Edison. I knew all that stuff, and then researching, I was like, wow, this guy was a genius.
Yeah, he absolutely was. And yeah, I mean, as a kid, everyone knows Thomas Edison, and that's kind of just the contrast. That is Thomas Edison is not really. I mean, I think that's kind of in a lot of people know about Thomas Edison. Yeah, he's the guy that invented the light bulb, But again, Nikola Tesla kind of goes unnoticed through all that. So yeah, one last thing I didn't mention earlier, I want to mention that he thought drones would actually bring about peace. That is when he came up with he was a very big pacifist, and so when he came up with this idea of the wireless controlled vessel, for lack of better terms, he thought drones would actually bring about peace because they would be so destructive, that people they just wouldn't mess with each other, kind of like that mutually, I think, assured destruction concept. But that is one thing he didn't envision future warfare very well, because if he was in Russia, Ukraine right now, he would be thinking way different. He'd be like, "Oh, son of a gun, bastards."
Well,
yeah. So I think that hits just about everything we wanted to cover tonight. Again, for those that listen, we love it. Thank you, subscribers. Thank you for those that take the time. Like, subscribe, give us a comment. Is there anybody you want to hear about next? Because if not, I think we got a few more. Carl, would you agree? A few more of these kind of unsung heroes before we hit our next series.
Yep, and I keep seeming to adding them.
There are a lot. There are a lot. So, all right, everybody. That is it for now. I'm Gabriel.
I'm Carl.
See you next time.